are listening to WHOA Podcast, coming to you from Gainesville, Florida. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the WHOA GNV Podcast, the podcast bringing you businesses and individuals that make you go, whoa! My name is Collin Austin. Now, you've heard of Elf on a Shelf and Minch on a Bench, but get ready. Mike on an e-bike. Introducing my fantastically festive co-host, Michael Dees. What is
pretty
up?
good. I don't know about fantastically festive, though.
Are you not fantastically festive?
You know, I'm somebody that has to be pulled into the Christmas spirit, and so like I guess the intro helps, but I don't know. I have to be
like my holiday intros.
I have to be convinced.
Spend hours on them.
I have to be convinced that it's Christmas time, and that's what's really hard, especially in Florida when it's like 85 degrees and you see the calendar's November, December, and you're like, no, it's not.
No.
Yeah, it's not.
No snow on the ground.
But no. So I don't know. But that's a great intro. I mean, I haven't heard of Minch on a Bench, so I'm gonna have to look that one up later.
Yeah, what is that? Is that a thing?
Tank. Yeah, it's like it's like the.
It was on Shark Tank.
Yeah, it was on Shark Tank. It's literally like the Jewish version of Elf on a Shelf.
Oh, so I should feel guilty for not knowing.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
There you go.
Good.
I don't know if anybody could actually hear what Rebecca was saying, but she's saying it was on Shark Tank. It's the Jewish version, you said? Okay. Cool. Minch on a Bench. There you go. Go Google it. So it's a win for sure.
I like Mike on an e-bike, though. Good. Anyway.
Before we start the show, today is December 9th. I want to give my little brother,
Bradley.
Brad Austin, just a little shout out. It was his birthday yesterday, December 8th, and my sister has a birthday on December 17th, so happy birthday to my siblings. They're younger than I am, and they will always be working very diligently to live up to this. I'm just kidding. I love them. But
you guys only do things in December, huh?
Yeah, dude, December is like a big month for us. It's my favorite.
Like I said last week, it's yours and Shannon's anniversary. It's Brad's birthday. It's Tara's birthday. It's like an Austin family tradition. You only do things in December.
That's right.
Except for have kids, which is only in August.
That's right.
Which is, if you do the math. Anyway, we'll move on.
Let's not even go there. So, dude, I'm super excited. I'm feeling really loose right now. I'm feeling really, really loose. We have a full house, which is always exciting. But we just got done having the Alachua County Emerging Leaders here in the house. We did, right before the podcast, you guys, we did a little cocktail hour. They did a tour of new
facility tour,
for us.
Sure,
definitely want to give a shout out to Acel and everything that they're doing for the community. And it was a pleasure having them here. It was just a great time.
They said that was the first on-site facility tour.
Yeah. And so far the best.
Yeah. Well, right. I mean, like we set the bar high, right? Like, so everybody else. I mean, I think Mark said that they're gonna do a dump next just to make sure that we
so that way
keep our status as the best one, right? So
exactly.
So shout out to them. That was cool. Man. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Had a good time. A good group of people showed up, and we showed them the showroom, the service department, our warehouse, everything. Just gave a tour of the business, which was really, really cool. And we talked podcasting, which is something that I always
love to talk about. You speak a lot, and I know your favorite part is question and answer. So was there anything in this one that like catches you off guard, or something that was like a little uncomfortable or anything, or was it just a normal event for you?
No, I think there's always really, really great questions, and that's definitely the part that I like the most. If there's a commonality in questions, it's definitely like the evolution of the business. Like, why haven't we gone to other college towns?
Right.
Is that something that we're planning on doing? And, and there's, I always tell people in 2004, the answer was yes. Like,
absolutely.
That's exactly what we were going to do. But, as I grown as an entrepreneur, and we've, started a new business and getting into the digital media, social media, marketing side of things, like I love that, and I see the ability to scale that a little bit easier than opening up dealerships everywhere.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's definitely become a common question, and it's fun. So, but yeah, no, I mean it's always great to have an engaging group within the dealership and talking business, and heck, anywhere I go. And actually, our guest, I've spoken on panels with him before, and it's been a lot of fun. So let me go ahead and introduce our guest of the day. And you guys, I'm so excited, not only because it's beer, and I mean, I love beer, but these are individuals that I absolutely adore, and I was at their place last week for a rock, paper, and scissors tournament for United Way. They had it out there, and I was there for that, and it was awesome. So, you guys, our guests of the day. We have 2 of the 4 co-founders of First Magnitude Brewing Company, the president, Christine Denny, and with her, her husband, the head brewer. And if I had to pick one of the 2, which I would think is the most important, I'm sorry, Christine.
Wow.
Christine, I'm so sorry.
Just throwing that out there.
You know me so well, but I'm definitely going to go with the head brewer on this one. John Denny, you guys, welcome to our show.
Great to be here. Thanks so much for having us.
This is exciting. They already have the sample glasses out. We are going to sample beer and drink beer on the podcast, which I can't think of anything better, honestly, especially when we're recording at 9:16 p.m. on a Wednesday night. This is the best, and people are like, what are you talking about? It's 8 o'clock in the morning on a Monday. I get it. Get your First Magnitude at 8 a.m. on a Monday. I don't care. But you guys, this is something I'm really, really excited to get into and share your story. And, I'm kind of trying to decide what to start with. I feel like we should actually start with the beer before we get into the story, simply because I actually want some right now and I don't want to wait 10 minutes.
That is doable.
Right. So you guys, this is when we start podcasting. We're like literally the audio version of this, right? Like, you guys, this is in video format on Facebook and on YouTube, and you need to go watch the video version because it's cool for these exact moments. Yeah. Am I right?
Yeah. Can we get a mic check on this?
Yeah. All right. Oh, there you go. Boom.
Oh,
nice.
Gosh.
Nice. So we're going to go ahead and pour some beers and drink them on the show, and maybe we'll just talk about them throughout. But yeah, go ahead and pour those glasses.
So why don't you tell us what you brought? Because I know you got some cores, but you also got some different things.
We do. We've got a good variety here tonight. I'm starting off with Vega, our blonde ale. We're particularly proud of this one. This was won the Silver Award at the World Beer Cup. It's hosted every other year. It's considered the Olympics of beer, and we were.
Where's it hosted?
So it's at the Craft Brewers Conference every year. This past in 2018, it was in Nashville. It's going to be in San Antonio next time. But yeah, I mean, it's literally competition from all over the world. There were 90 other entries in this particular category.
How many?
90.
Okay.
There were over 3,500 in the entire competition, but in this particular category, there were 90 others. So we were very proud of it. But this is our kind of very accessible, balanced, refreshing kind of light beer. It's a blonde ale. It's got a little hint of citrus hop there at the end. It typically is our best seller in the tap room, week in, week out, and we really like it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. It's definitely one of my favorites.
Cheers.
Yep.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers, y'all.
Boom. I mean, I've had that one several times.
Many times. It's not my first rodeo with the Vega, but I'm gonna pretend like it is. So
cool. Good. And how many did you bring total?
So I brought one of our 5 cores, and then I brought 2 limited releases. I brought our Learning to Rye, which was our Tom Petty tribute beer. Just a couple weeks ago here, we had the big Tom Petty celebration for what would have been his 69th birthday. And so it's called Learning to Rye. It's a rye IPA. We'll
play on a song title there.
That was good. That was going to be my second choice for the hype song, but we had to go with some little more up tempo.
For everybody who has no idea what we're talking about, before we actually hit record on the podcast, we always do a hype song with our guests and get the energy flowing, baby. So we did Gainesville Rock City by
which is awesome. Shout out to Vinny, episode 15 that they were on Gainesville Rock City.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. All right, so I mean, how should we do? Do we want to do these throughout, or I feel like? Or should I just drink them all now?
Sure. I mean,
we can go either way.
It's your show.
Yeah, this. I mean, that is true, and it's so great that we can literally do whatever we want.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go ahead and ask for another.
All right.
You want a more Vega, or do you want another?
No, let's do another one.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Just hit us up there.
So I mean, while we're getting this set up, talk to us a little bit about what you should experience as you're tasting this, because I think a lot of people. I won't go on a long thing, but 2004, whenever I first got here, Stubby's and Stein's, which is always near and dear to my heart, they were the OG beer establishment here in Gainesville, and now it's just completely different. There's so many breweries, and but whenever that was going on for me, it was like beer was a pedestrian drink. There was no culture around it. There was no anything. Wine was something that you taste a palate, you look for legs, you learn how to hold a glass. There were so many things that were established with wine drinking, but with beer drinking, it was just you straight up chug and go. So when you talk about flavor profiles in a beer, I've had many, many, many pints of Vega in my life, but what should I be looking for as if I've never had this before?
Well, the tasting beer is a very subjective experience, of course, but one of the things I always do when I go to a brewery, especially if I've been there for the first time, I generally do order one of the lightest beers that they have on. If they have a light lager, if they have a blonde ale, something like that, I always use that kind of a benchmark, because those styles of beers, they don't have a whole lot they don't have a big roasty malt to hide behind or a bunch of hops to hide behind. You really have to have your chops if you're going to pull off something that's good and clean and just is refreshing. So that's kind of a go-to for me when I'm kind of testing the waters of a brewery that I might not be familiar with. But with Vega, as far as the tasting notes are concerned, I mean it's got a little bit of a grainy Pilsner malt character to it. As I said, we finish off some Cascade hops, so it gives it a little bit of a citrus finish there. At the end, it's a lower alcohol beer. It's perfect for the poolside, golf course, paddling down the river, which is what we like to do.
Sure.
And I would like to, and actually Christine can chime in on this as well. I'd like to talk a little bit about the origin of the name and where First Magnitude comes from. So First Magnitude refers to the springs here that we have in north central Florida, and springs are classified in orders of magnitude by the amount of water that flows out of them. So First Magnitude springs are the largest of the springs, and we have 33 of them here in Florida, which is more than anywhere else in the world. Not in the U.S., not in North America, in the world. It's just a really unique feature of the place we live. So that we thought it would be something good. It's something that we love, that we spend a lot of time with our kids and our friends. Yep. So it's something we wanted to call attention to when we named the brewery. And First Magnitude also has a second meaning in that stars are also classified in orders of magnitude. So the brightest stars that you see in the sky are First Magnitude stars, and Vega is a First Magnitude star.
Okay.
It's one of the closer stars to our own solar system. So it's a First Magnitude star.
You guys are clever.
Yeah, man.
We really
We're
try.
not fooling around. And the one that I just poured you, Collin, is 72, and that is our pale ale. And this is actually
Delicious.
our best seller all the way around. Just
Really?
Out in the market, yeah.
Out in the market.
That's our number one seller. And 72 is actually the constant temperature of the water coming out of the springs. So it's always 72 degrees.
Okay. So I'm going to have you guys continue. I'm just going to keep handing you my glass, and you can just keep pouring
got
beer.
it.
Keep filling it.
But let's like dive into the story some, all right?
Sure.
So like take us back. Like I don't know what even got you to Gainesville. Like what got you here? Why are you in this community? Why did you start this brewery? Tell us your story.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess I got here first in 87.
That's way back machine.
Way back in the way back machine. But came up here for school. Had no idea of becoming an entrepreneur, and certainly not a brewer. But I got an undergraduate degree at UF. I was kind of a little listless at first, and I had a friend of mine. I was working full time, but I had a friend of mine that said, "Hey, I'm going to take this community ed course out at Santa Fe about home brewing." I'm like, "Home brewing? Is that a thing?" He's like, "Oh yeah, you can make beer at home." I'm like, "Get out of here! Sign me up for that class." And that was in '93. So just as a
Hold on, you're saying like a college class actually helped you do something?
believe it or not,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
in 1993.
I'm not throwing education under the bus. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, it was a community ed course. But yeah,
That's cool.
it did. It really turned me on to the possibilities of it, and I just kind of got more and more into it, and enjoying making the beer at home, and enjoying serving my own beer at parties and stuff, and just getting feedback from friends and saying, "Hey, this is all right stuff." But it remained a hobby for decades. And
What were you doing during that time?
I was actually a case manager out at Mental Health Services. I was a psychology major, so I was working with adults with mental illness, and I did that for several years. And
I mean, I don't want to throw shade on that, but beer sounds way cooler.
Well, there's a reason. Spoiler alert. So yeah, I've changed careers several times, and but that's a really cool thing about me winding up being a brewer and running a brewery here in Gainesville. It is a dream come true. It is for sure. It wasn't anything that I started out with as something that I could really foresee as an actual opportunity, and that came much later. With our good friends and business partners, Megan Wells-Thelozin. We just started kicking around the idea almost as a joke. Hey, wouldn't that be fun if we started a brewery? And this was, of course, after many sessions of my homebrew, and we started thinking about it.
Well, you filled the driveway with beer.
Yeah.
You filled the closets with beer.
Well, yeah, yeah.
Everything was full of beer for many years.
Yeah.
When we moved back into town in '99.
Okay.
And I went to grad. We came back up here for me going to grad school, and he just kept making a lot of beer
at home.
Lots of beer at home.
Yeah, and we always said it was in our 5-year plan. Like, one day this won't be in the house. It's gonna be. We'll do something with it, and then.
So you're really drunk one night, and
Yeah,
you
it was
actually
just
decide, you go to sunbiz.org and just type in the LLC name,
Get
or
her
what'd you do? Like, what?
Yeah, that's pretty much how it. Yeah, it's exactly how it went. Yeah.
Well, we all started looking into it, and all of us brought something different to the table. Wells has lots of experience in his family business with manufacturing,
production,
and
management.
production
Okay, cool.
and management, which I didn't have any of that experience at the time. And then Christine, her field was environmental education, and she'd done that for 17 years. Is that
Environmental science, 17.
environmental science and communication and things like that, and has really helped tremendously.
Where'd you go to school, Christine? Here?
Yeah, I got my master's in forestry here.
Okay.
Which totally qualifies me for running a brewery. Absolutely.
For sure. There's no doubt about it.
But I did environmental consulting for 17 years and ran an environmental consulting office here. So I was used to business management, staff management, the whole bit. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah, and then Meg had lots of experience working for software companies and strategic planning and marketing, and we all just brought kind of unique skill sets to the table and started kind of breaking it all apart and saying, okay, well, what's it going to take? What kind of capital are we going to need to raise? What sort of licensing do we need? What sort of space are we going to require? And we just all started looking into it, and after a while, it got to the point where we had done so much research, I said to myself, if I don't do this, I'm always going to wonder.
Yeah.
Should I have given it a shot?
Oh, man.
And so I was working at UF for the time. I worked at UF for 13 years, and I had a great job there and lots of great colleagues. And it was really tough to leave. But at the same time, I knew UF's not going to go anywhere. So I made sure that I left on the best possible terms. And I was confident that we would be successful. But, you never know in business. So I just wanted to make sure that I left on good terms. But, more than 5 years later, no turning back. So it's been great.
Right.
It's been
Okay,
really good.
so what was the year that you guys actually launched it all?
So we opened in August of 2014.
Mm-hmm.
So we just celebrated our 5th anniversary this past August.
That was doors open.
That was
Okay.
But it took us, it was about 2 years before that we really started planning. But once we decided to really start moving on it, we really started moving on it. It hit the ground running, and Meg and John worked really closely together to get the whole thing going and get the business just up and operating. Because we recognized that the market was good, but we also recognized the market had a finite window of when we could get in there and really take advantage of what we saw was there. So we went 0 to 1,000 very quickly.
Yeah. It was, but I'm so thankful that we're open and established. Mm-hmm. Mike, as you commented, there's so many breweries now, and the competition for shelf space is real, and so I'm really glad that we're up and running. It's great.
All right, so like, but what is it with the breweries and there's this like friendly competitiveness?
Fraternization.
Like, and I love it. Like, I love it. Like, I have never heard of a brewery talk bad about another brewery in this town ever.
Yeah.
Right.
Like ever. Like, there's like this cordial, and I know that the Gainesville Chamber of Commerce like does this like brewery tour, which has been a really cool thing. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I love this stuff. But like, I want to destroy the face of my competition. I mean, not really. If you're listening, like it is. If I gotta go backpedaling because they're gonna be like, oh, so we see how Collin is.
Just imagining how rich that would be if our competition was listening to this podcast. But anyway, go on.
But like in business, like competition is competition. But like with the breweries, there's like this like friendliness, and it's really really cool. Like I like it. Like, but why?
Well, it's in all of our best interest for all of us to succeed, right? I mean, if you like to go see live music, you wouldn't go see the same band every time. You want a little variety. It's great if we have a really good music scene in Gainesville and we've got a lot of venues you can go to and have a lot of variety. It's sort of a similar thing with the breweries. It's really important for all of us to make quality product, and we talk to one another on a regular basis. Troubleshoot problems, bounce off ideas. We do collaborations together. So it's cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
I dig that.
And I mean, there's when we can convert a pedestrian beer drinker, as you said, and turn somebody on to, wow, there's a great amount of variability in these beers, and they taste completely different. It's really great when you can educate that consumer, and also so that they don't mind paying $1 or $2 extra, for some local beer. So.
Well, and that's the important thing, is getting more people aware of craft beer, because even though there seem to be so many breweries all around the country and it's growing rapidly, there's still a lot of education that needs to happen, and we want to get more people into the craft beer scene. So the more breweries there are, the more entry points that people have, and the more locations there are, that it provides people with that, with that entry and that understanding of what craft beer is. I mean, this is something that's made locally, sourced locally, served locally, packaged locally. I mean, it is a truly great local product that celebrates everything that's so great about our town and about any town that a craft brewery is in. And it's really true that the ships all rise together. I mean, if people are making good product and they're doing their thing in their own way, and people ask about different Gainesville breweries, and it's like a bunch of siblings. Everybody has their own personality. They're all really unique. So people say, oh, this is, I love Blackadder because this is why I love it. And then, I love Cypress and Grove, or I love Swamphead. And it's great because every brewery has its own personality, and that's what we want. We want everybody to be serving great product and have their own personality and really get more people into the craft beer scene. That's the end goal. We want them to appreciate what we're doing, because it really is, even though, and we'll hopefully get into that in a little bit, even though it seems like it's a bunch of people standing around going, dude, there's so much fun. And it is so much fun. It's also really nerdy science behind it and a lot of business. So, yeah.
I mean, this sounds exactly like the scooter business. I mean, honestly, like our competitors are fine. I just like giving a hard time.
Now, I'm not sharing any trade secrets, but
that's interesting.
Yeah, because we were talking about that before earlier this afternoon. Do you ever have employees that go from one brewery to the other, like from an employment standpoint?
Sure.
And do you ever fear that like is there a trade secrets that you have to protect, or recipes or anything like that you're worried about, or?
Not recipes.
Not particularly. I mean, you can go buy the recipe for 72 at Hogtown Ale Works right now and
make it yourself.
Make it yourself. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's really all about execution. I mean, you can certainly make it at home. There's nothing absolutely revolutionary about this beer. It's very well made, but it really is in the execution of the product is where you're going to get the quality or not. You can't just throw a bunch of stuff in a kettle and hope for the best.
Sure. So does that happen a lot though? Like, I don't want to say a lot. Like, but do you have employees that go from one to the other? And
in a town the size of Gainesville, it's a relatively small population of people with a specialized skill set. So I mean, it's not uncommon for folks to work at different breweries and that sort of thing. So it's not something that we're terribly, concerned about. It's all. We tend to be very open. We do those collaboration brews, and the nice thing about the collaboration brews is just going in and seeing other people's processes and getting some ideas. I mean, it may be something as simple as how you hang your tools on the wall, something just, mundane as that, but it's like, oh, wow, I never really thought about it. That's really great. It's very handy to accessible, kind of a thing. So, yeah, it is a very, collaborative industry, and it's great, because, nobody knows what it's like to work in a brewery other than brewers. And it's kind of, it's fun to tell stories and share our frustrations and those sorts of things. So a lot of good storytelling with it for sure.
Over beer.
I want to go back to where you were talking about meeting with the founders over your home brew. Do you remember what type of brew that was?
Yeah, I do. In fact, I can pour you a sample right now.
That was the follow up. Have you streamlined it? Like, had you?
Yeah, this isn't exactly the same, but one of my favorites to make at home was a Hefeweizen.
Sure.
The working title. This was way before First Magnitude, but the working title of this one was More Than Happy. It's like, well, what does it really mean to be more than happy? I thought, well, let's call it More Than Happy. But this is Wakala, and it is a Hefeweizen, so it's a traditional German wheat beer. And these types of beers are some of my favorites because of the unique flavors that you get.
I'm going to ask you to go ahead and fill mine up, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that your favorite? Do you like a Hefeweizen?
I mean, I like all.
You just like
them.
beer? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So okay. So this one, you're going to get some banana and clove notes to it, and there's no fruit in this beer. This is all flavor compounds that are generated during the fermentation process.
That's cool.
So it's really neat, and we do that by manipulating the temperature that we ferment the beer at, and there's lots of little tricks and stuff that we do to coax those unique flavors out of the yeast. But yeah, this was a recipe of mine that has certainly evolved since the homebrew days.
So I was going to say, I got to imagine that a lot of people that do home brewing, their first option to go to isn't a Hefeweizen. So that I would think that came from some kind of inspiration. Do you have a favorite Hefeweizen? And then at that point, when you're coming up with a new recipe, are you trying to mimic? Are you trying to create your own, or do you just become inspired by something that you've had and then say, how can I twist this and make it my own?
Right. It's all of the above. I'm very fortunate to work with some super creative and talented brewers. So a lot of what we do is collaboration, and we knock around ideas. Chris Cook is our pilot brewer, and he does a lot of our experimental stuff, our barrel aged stuff, and he will often come up with unique recipes, and that's really what the pilot system is all about, and we have a kind of a built-in population in the tap room, and we can see, hey, this is selling like crazy. We really need to, maybe this is something that we need to scale up. But we always, kind of take those, the goal is to take those products that he creates and then, make them even better.
How often do you need like a focus group? Say like Mike and I to come in and just taste them for you.
Come on.
Probably every week.
That's literally any time.
That's actually that's actually the term I was looking for. Is our tap room is our focus group, and people vote with their dollars. So it's it's a really
that's smart.
Well, we have 18
really
taps, and we've made in the past year over 100 unique beers.
We will by the end of the year for sure.
So there's a lot going through there, and there's a lot of really good creative stuff that's happening with a variety of ingredients. Some of them are Florida ingredients, some of them are just kind of really bizarre fruits, but all of it's done really well and with a lot of thought behind it. So
That's super cool. So what's been the biggest challenge for you guys so far?
working with John.
Oh, good. Oh, okay. Nice. We finally got one.
I know it's not. I know it's not July.
It's not couples
in
month
July
anymore,
we've
but
done couples month.
we
and
finally
we've always brought that dynamic, saying, "Hey, what's it like working with your spouse?" So, Christine, go ahead, tell us, please.
She was actually just kidding.
This is literally what makes this podcast so great, is when you tell the truth right here.
Yeah. No, actually, that's been one of the best things about this, is that we get along so well, and I respect respect what he does. It's really, I know that sounds sappy, but he does a really darn good job.
He's the head brewer.
He is the head brewer. And he does a good job with it. So that's been really great working together.
Do you guys do a good job of like really staying in your roles?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, and Christine, she keeps the place running. I mean, the business, the financial side, the legal side, the 1,001 things that have to happen before I even think about brewing a beer. She takes care of all that, and it's awesome. It's absolutely fantastic. So we couldn't do what we do without one another. No doubt about that. It was really funny when we were launching the brewery, and that 2-year run up. I'm like, when do we get to talk about the beer? The licensing, no, I don't know. Legal stuff, insurance, no. When do we get to talk about the beer? But, all those foundations of just running a business, that all those boxes have to be checked before you even think about putting anything in a tank. So, yeah.
Well, it's really interesting, the Brewers Association, with all the boom of all the craft breweries that are open. The Brewers Association is our industry group, and it's the national industry group that works with breweries all over. And they are talking right now about how all these breweries are opening, and they said it's not just enough to make good beer. It's not just enough to run a business. It's not just enough how to market. You have to be able to combine all three of those things. And that's one of those things that I feel like we're really getting our feet more and more under us, because we have nationally and internationally award-winning beer. Our business is solid, and it's moving along. And I really feel like, in terms of who we are in the community and who we are in our branding and our where we are in terms of how outside folks see us looking in, I think we're feeling pretty good about it. But we're also always hungry to learn more and want to make absolutely sure that we're
so like how important like
forward.
Are those competitions and stuff that occur? Like how important is that into like building the brand of your business?
Well, I mean, it's great to get objective feedback about your products, and they take all that stuff very seriously. It's all blind tasted, and they have certified beer judges in evaluating the beers, and you get you do get score sheets back, and they comment on if there's things you can improve upon, that sort of thing. So they are important. We've been very fortunate that 3 out of our 5 cores have won awards at fairly big levels. So it's a nice kind of affirmation of your process. So
Coors being our year-round beers that we have in all the stores.
Beers
right.
in package.
And what are they? I mean, we've had Wacola Vega 72.
And so
Drift is the core?
Yep, Drift, and that was a GABF gold medal winner in 2018, which is fantastic. And then Ursa, which we'll pour in a second, that was a silver medal winner at the Best Florida Beer Competition last year as well. So in a very crowded category of IPA. So it's pretty cool, and it's something to get people talking. People love lists, and people love to see those sorts of things. So it is a nice extra thing that you can do to market your product, for sure.
Okay, so what's the mindset though when you're opening a brewery, right? And you have this awesome bar, and people are coming in, they're buying beer. Like, is it that like this is what I'm going to do? Like, I'm gonna have this place that people come and have this great customer experience, and it's gonna be a local brewery. Like, this is it? Or like, were you already in like, my beer is going to be in Publix and like all over the place? Like, what was the process? I mean, did that just happen organically? Did you start with one thing and it just kind of blossomed, or did you start the business?
I'm gonna brew this, and I hope they will come.
I'm gonna brew this, and I'm going straight to Publix.
If I brew it, they will come.
What's the mindset?
The answer is no. We had a business plan, and we're pretty, because we all had careers and we're all doing our thing. So to make this leap and to go to this business and to make this big change, and in the beginning it was John and Meg that left their jobs and did this. That's a big deal. And with small children and all of that, it was not something that we took lightly. So we took a really hard look at the market. We had a really solid business plan. We had done business plans before in our own careers, and we knew what we thought the market could take, and so we did have plans to be in Publix, on the shelves, in distribution. That was really important to make sure that our business was going the way we wanted it to. To be honest, we did not anticipate the tap room to be as big of a deal as it was, because when we opened the brewery, distribution was the way all the breweries were going. That was it. That was your market growth. It was getting it into the pubs, the bars, on the grocery shelves, and that was where all the breweries were growing, and they couldn't make enough beer. And so all the distributors, because in Florida, we can't, if Satchel needs a keg of beer, we can't give Satchel or sell Satchel a keg of beer. We have a 3-tier system, so it has to go from us to a distributor that we have an agreement with, and then it goes from the distributor to Satchel. So we have to make these partnerships with the distributors, and at that point the distributors are like, we can't keep enough beer in-house. So distribution was the way to go. We thought the tap room would be something that was a nice thing, and we were excited about it. We were focusing a lot on it as a place that people could meet and understand our brand and who we were and our story, but we didn't honestly anticipate that it would become as popular as it has. And even though we had this vision of a community space and a place where people could come and gather and be with their friends and family and feel comfortable, whoever they are or wherever they're from, we have been really, I think, humbled by the amount of response we've gotten to our tap room. And so our business model actually shifted a little bit, because distribution, as breweries were growing so rapidly, the market has changed in the last 5 years. Whereas distribution was where it was pretty much 2 years into when we started the brewery, everything shifted across the entire U.S. Distribution started kind of shrinking because there were so many brands going onto shelves that the distributors in states where they had the 3-tier system were kind of shuffling and juggling all these brands now. And so whereas they were hungry for them before, now they had, too many to even deal with, and they're being overrun with these beer SKUs. So distribution got a little bit more challenging, a lot more challenging. And so we were a lot of breweries across the U.S. are focusing a lot more on their tap rooms. So we were very fortunate that in our vision for what First Magnitude was, we had this space in mind that could be large and open and inviting and welcoming and just kind of become all these things to all these different folks that came there. So the tap room has been a really great part of our business. Distribution has still continued to be good, but it was, I think that we anticipated it to be the majority of our business, and the tap room to be this really nice thing. And so for the first couple years, we would kind of walk out in the beer garden and look around and say, holy crap, all these people are here. And I don't know some of them, We kind of figured it would be a place that it would be just our friends would show up and drink beer with us. But it's even, it's always, it's really, we'll just stand there when there's a big event going on, and we just kind of look around and say, wow, this is really
I still get
humbling.
I still get absolutely
really
excited if I see somebody that I don't know wearing a First Magnitude shirt. I'm like, oh my god, look at that!
Oh, yeah.
We're doing it.
Yeah.
He'll grab my arm. Look.
That's still very exciting.
No kidding, legit. I was like my wife Shannon and I, we went to Savannah, and we were walking on the streets of Savannah, and I was wearing my First Magnitude shirt, and somebody said, "Are you from Gainesville?" And that has got to be a cool feeling. It's the same thing like when I get a text of a new Scooters for Less scooter in some
Iowa.
random city.
Yeah.
It's like how did our scooter get to Iowa?
Hopefully they didn't drive it there.
Okay. I can completely relate and understand that feeling. It's really, really cool.
How far does the distribution reach? What is the radius that you guys...
So we're with 7 different distributors now. We go as far south as St. Petersburg, Pinellas County. Okay. We're in Orlando, up northwest to Jacksonville, and then over to Tallahassee.
And a little bit further west, Wakulla County.
Oh yeah.
So
Wakulla County.
It's based in Florida.
Just based in Florida.
And not all of Florida.
So when you started that, did you have any issues with preservation of the product? Because I know when a lot of places started distributing, there was recalls almost with skunky product and stuff like that they couldn't maybe first year didn't know that if it sat on the shelf too long or whatever thing, like, did you have any experience, or were you able to learn from those other micros that had those problems?
Right. Well, quality has always been a critical part of what we do. And although I had a good understanding of the brewing processes, I knew I needed some science bench strength behind me. So our lead brewer, Eric Dreyer, has a master's degree and an undergraduate degree in food science from UF. Our quality assurance manager, Arthur Rudolph, has a PhD in biology. He wrote his dissertation on yeast genomics, just got it last April. So we invest a lot in our people and our lab to minimize the chance of those sorts of things happening, because it's that's real. That's real. Yeah.
Real.
Yeah. I just saw just on Twitter the other day an exploding bottle at a bottle shop. So we have to be extraordinarily careful with that sort of thing. But so far.
Well, then even the ethical decision of do you pull it off the shelf? I mean, that's such a financial hit, but do you want somebody's perception to be tainted by a bad product? I mean, it's just such a loaded thing.
Exactly. I mean, we have to be very wary of that sort of thing. It doesn't take long for your reputation to be tarnished in that sort of a situation. So, we're very, very careful and try our best to make sure that all the beer that leaves a brewery is the best quality it possibly can be.
So with that, do you have visions to get out of Florida soon, or are you good where you're at? Or
I mean, we could sell more beer in Gainesville. To be honest, I mean, we've done very well in Gainesville. That we've penetrated the market quite well here, but no, I don't see us leaving Florida anytime soon. I mean, I think that we have plenty of room to grow just with our current distribution footprint.
Well, that's so funny, because we were just having that same conversation about new scooters. Because we had already talked about that conversation often happens. Do you guys have plans to expand? And we looked at the same thing. It's like, I just think there's opportunity to do more from this one dealership than what a lot of competitors do from 2, 3, 4.
Right.
Sure. So we kind of looked at it the same way. And it's always interesting to look out and, see what those opportunities are. But we've always kind of come back to the same decision that, like, we'd rather maximize what we can do from this one location.
Yeah.
Are there any other streams of revenue? Is it just the tap room and then distribution? Like, is that it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what, like, from a percentage layout, like, how much of the revenue for your business comes from the tap room versus, distribution?
I mean, they run somewhat similar. And they run somewhat similar and are growing at a steady rate. And they're, like I said, even though we originally thought the distribution would be a much larger portion of it, everything has continued to go pretty much as we anticipated, just at a slightly different ratios than we thought they would be. It was I actually wanted to touch base on what you were saying about the product and product on shelves. One of the important things for everybody listening to this podcast is to, when you buy beer, especially craft beer, when you're getting it, it's really important to check the dates on these things, because the cans have a shelf life. So sometimes when someone gets beer and they're what makes me nervous is when a new craft beer drinker goes out and they're like, I'm just going to buy such and such. And they pick a product off the shelf. And if it's a product that has been sitting there for too long, maybe it's a brand from way out of the state or something that doesn't rotate through enough. Maybe someone hasn't been paying enough attention to it on the shelf. But if it's old, it's not going to taste right. And craft beer is not meant to sit on a shelf forever and ever.
What's considered old? Like, how long?
Well,
I would say, generally speaking, 90 days. If it's within 90 days, you're in pretty good shape. I mean, there are some exceptions to that rule. I mean, high gravity, high alcohol content that generally has a longer shelf life, but particularly hoppy beers, IPAs, those sorts of things. The more quickly you consume it, the better off you are, particularly if it's on a warm shelf. Just food. Beer is a food product, and if you keep it refrigerated, it's gonna keep longer and taste better. But yeah, I would say 90 days is where you kind of want to be.
And hop character is just best when it's fresh.
Yeah.
When it's been sitting there for a long time, it just kind of starts fading. The flavor starts fading, and you're not getting the beer that the brewers intended.
That's always the challenge for me in planning our production. Is you want to make just enough to where you're keeping your distribution partners happy. You're keeping your tap room plenty full, but you don't want to have too much of it.
It would do you a disservice if you stocked somebody full and they didn't move through it fast enough.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, that's got to be a huge challenge.
Yeah,
it is. It is.
I can't even imagine trying to gauge that. I mean, are you just looking at data all the time, trying to?
Because you want them to buy up as much as possible, but at the same, if they're not selling,
But it has to move.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's nice to have 5 years worth of data now that we can look back and we can say, oh, this time of year it's really going to pick up, and wow, this time it's going to slow down a little bit, so we can take the foot off the gas just a little bit. So but it is a constant challenge for sure.
But it's also good because we have good distribution partners, and our distributors, their sales folks are out in the market, and they check cans and they check to make sure that it's fresh, and if it's not fresh, they'll move it out, and then they move new product in. So it's a really good partnership that we have with them.
So what happens to the old beer?
Michael drink
Inquiring mind.
It goes to the sad beer place.
To somebody.
It goes to the sad beer heaven in the sky.
Sad beer heaven in the sky.
All right.
Yes.
Well, I'll send you my address and a post-it note later.
I mean, I believe you will drink it. I mean, you will sacrifice that little bit of
I will
quality
be a
for free
sad beer charity. I will do that.
Okay. Hey,
Do you want to have
I believe you.
Do you want to share a happy beer?
Yeah. So, here you go.
I mean, sure, happy beer.
You can see I'm absolutely crushing this.
Let's.
But so I mean, what was it like? Like, what's the process of actually getting distribution when you've reached that point where it's like, okay, now we're ready to put this in cans on shelves? I mean, what is that process like?
Well, I mean, we visited distributors and poured beer for them well before our doors were open.
Okay.
Because we wanted them to know that we were coming, that we had a story to tell, that we were going to make some great product. So, we were testing the waters and making sure in Florida, when you sign with a distributor, it's a permanent and exclusive contract. So it's a marriage of sorts. It's a long-term relationship. So it was a very important decision, to make. Fortunately, our distributor partners have been really great to work with and really help us out. But it is one of the most important decisions that you make as a brewery. So
because you can make all the best beer around, but if it's not actually placed onto shelves or those contacts aren't made with the different accounts, we have sales folks that do a fantastic job, but then they do their job. Somebody has to actually make sure that the beer lands where it needs to be.
Yeah.
So.
How many team members do you have?
7. We have 7 different distributors. Yeah.
Oh, 7 different distributors. But how many team members do you guys have? How many?
So we're I think around 24 staff right now. 2 sales folks, and we have a brewing team of 6. Mm-hmm. Six brewers, and then a couple folks that help us with events, marketing, branding, that sort of thing, and a bunch of fantastic bartenders that are the face of the company.
So what's your day look like? I mean, you came in here saying you just got finished with a 12-hour day, and you're like, oh, I got a 12-hour day. Let me go sit in on this podcast.
It was like sweet relaxation that it was only a 12-hour day. But.
Yeah, exactly.
I know,
exactly.
It's only a 12-hour day.
Sometimes they're longer for sure. It really all depends. I mean,
what time are you rolling in?
I'm usually there between 7 and 7:30, just to get the brew started. When you're brewing, there's kind of a flurry of activity, and then you wait. And then another flurry of activity, and then you wait. It's kind of setting things up and then letting these processes go. But I mean, we're often packaging beer, brewing beer, doing recipe planning, production scheduling, and then the brewery is in a constant state of maintenance. There's
Do you
always
check email?
On occasion.
Okay.
On occasion.
I was just wondering if the head brewer checks email. I don't know.
Yeah. I emailed you today, Collin.
I mean, but it was like later in the after hours.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's something that I do when I first get in, and then it kind of goes by the wayside until the next day. But yeah. So.
I'm like super curious about all this, like
Honestly,
just the business day. Like,
much-
what's your business day like?
Oh, I'm generally office hours, so I'm more of an 8 to 5, 8 to 6 sort of thing. And then after the kids are done with schoolwork and all of that, I'll pop up in the computer later in the evening.
Okay.
But and my job is I have a pretty regular time. A lot of folks will pop in the brewery and they'll say, I was there the other night. I didn't see you guys. When are you actually there? And it's we like to be there in the evenings when we can, because we love to say hi to people and we love to thank people for coming in, and but there's a certain point where we have to say, all right, I got to be a parent.
Yeah.
And I've got to spend some time at home, so it's a lot of fun. But I try to keep more regular business hours, for sure.
Yep.
I laugh because people say all the time. You said this. Allison has said this. People all say, we can't find Mike when we're looking for him. I'm like, are you kidding me? Because I practically live here. I think there's more hours that I spend here than anywhere.
Dude,
so
it's
the
a true
idea,
story. Anytime somebody's physically looking for you, you are not
it's
here.
mind blowing to me because I don't leave here, and the fact that nobody can find me, it's like, where did you look? But I don't know.
That's true. I mean, so what's the, you guys owning this business, you have children. I mean, what's the work-life balance that we always hear? And, that word is thrown around a lot. I mean, how do you guys balance it? I think it's an integration. That's what I always say. But like, what is that like for you guys?
Well, Christine does a great job of trying to get us out of town every 6 weeks or so. We have a pop-up camper. We'll go hit a state park. We're headed off to Cedar Key this weekend. We're very excited about. Spend some time with the kids.
How many kids? Yeah, how many kids? Two. Okay.
What ages?
Ella is 15 and Tyson is 11.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So it's very important to spend time with them, and it's
Are they
fun.
like doing homework at the brewery in the afternoons? Or like, what's that like process like?
Do they know the different flavor profiles of the beers? That's my cagey way of asking.
Not quite yet, but it is funny. My daughter is a sophomore at GHS, and she's slowly getting the picture that parents that own a brewery are kind of cool.
Okay.
We have often given gift certificates to her good teachers and stuff for the holidays and stuff like that. And I'll never forget this past Christmas. She's like, Dad, my teachers knew about First Magnitude. I'm like, oh, that's cool. She's like, and they really, really like it.
Dude, that's way cooler than any apple a teacher could ever get.
I'm like, yeah,
so awesome.
See, that is pretty cool. But no, they're great, and it's a lot of fun, and they will come and help out at the brewery on occasion. Like when we have our big anniversary celebration, we have a little merch table, and Ella's helped out to sell merch and stuff like that. And so
we had a float in the homecoming parade, and they helped build the float.
Yep.
Okay. For the homecoming parade.
That was really cool.
I have a super important question for you.
All right.
Is Ella on TikTok?
She probably is.
Yeah, you don't know though?
Yes, of course I know.
Okay, I'm a social media person.
This is a marketing question.
I'm just curious.
right.
I'm just curious whether or not your 15-year-old is on TikTok.
I'm sure she's on TikTok. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
I feel there needs to be a little bit of context here.
What context?
No, I just
I literally wanted to know.
to maybe wonder why you're curious if their 15-year-old daughter is on TikTok. I think you might want to explain that.
I love social media, and
but say why? Like why TikTok is specifically important?
TikTok is exploding right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like super. It's funny. I am very interested. Yeah, I mean, you guys know. Hell, go back to 2004 when we started New Scooters for Less. Facebook
was for college students.
Right.
Like
You had to have an
you had to have the
EDU. Yeah,
UFL.
EDU.
Like,
Yep.
and I did. I had the UFL.edu email address in 2004.
OG
and
Facebookers
Yeah.
right here.
Hey. I was on Facebook, right? And like these platforms age up. So of course I'm like looking at TikTok. I'm constantly in there seeing what people are doing, why this is so fascinating, trying to create some of my own, which I think is actually challenging. I mean, when you look at Instagram is very documentary. TikTok is very creative. You have to create. You got to be willing to put yourself out there and get outside that comfort zone and be a creator. But it's fascinating to me because as a business that sells scooters to 18-year-olds, right, that come to college, like you're a 15-year-old, will be 18 one day.
Yeah.
So if I'm building brand there as a company and doing some really unique things, like that's grabbing their attention and like hey, the scooter company is cool. Like I'm gonna go buy my scooter from them.
At the very least, planning brand awareness.
Of course, of course. I mean, so I don't know. I was just that's why I'm constantly
I think
curious.
it's important to tell why.
And hell, just even along with TikTok right now, like I've been talking LinkedIn like crazy because a lot of people don't. I shared a post. Did I talk about this?
John?
Did I talk about it on?
No, not on the
Harley?
podcast.
I haven't talked about it on the podcast.
Maybe I don't know which one. Go ahead.
Maybe I was drunk. I don't know. No, but possible. But like I shared a piece of content from John Dar on LinkedIn, and it was a motivational quote, and it got 130,000 views.
Wow.
And I'm just like, dude, LinkedIn from an organic standpoint is crushing it right now. So as a social media person, I'm just fascinated by this. So that's why I ask random questions like, is your daughter on TikTok?
Well, I love the creativity of TikTok and a lot of these different platforms is really, we have a fantastic brand coordinator who does all of our media assignment, and he does a really good job with that sort of thing. I used to try to meddle in it because I thought, oh, of course I know what I'm doing. And then he was like, no, please let me try to take this over. And he does such a fantastic job with all of his posts and what he's doing. And we're not on TikTok, but as a brewery, but it's also that skews to a younger, like you were saying, a younger crowd, and we're not necessarily trying to we want 21 and up is what we're gunning for. So
but it's super interesting to me. Like, not to say like go get a TikTok account right now, but it's super interesting to me because I was speaking to a group of realtors yesterday, and I dove into this, and the number of people that I'm coming across in TikTok that are not 15, that are 30 and 40 years old, is increasing every single day that I'm like scrolling on TikTok. So it's aging up quickly.
Well, I'm interested that you talked about TikTok and then went to LinkedIn, because that seems like totally different ends of the spectrum.
It is. And the only reason I'm paying attention to these social media platforms right now is because of that organic reach and because of the ability to get your brand in front of a huge audience with very little effort. That's why it's really crazy for me to dive into LinkedIn, because I've been a B2C, a business to consumer guy for 15 years in the scooter world, right? And for the very first, I didn't even need LinkedIn ever. Like I didn't even what do I need LinkedIn for? I'm not trying to build relationships with other businesses. Right. I'm selling scooters to college students. I'm on Snapchat, damn it. That's just the truth. But now, we're definitely building more relationships with businesses, and of course, I'm spending a heck of a lot more time on LinkedIn, and I'm trying to post on LinkedIn 4 or 5 times a day just because of that organic reach. And I don't know, it's super interesting. Cool. So I didn't mean to go on a whole social media tangent, but when you're talking about 15-year-old at GHS, teachers are into beer. I mean, I've seen these 15-year-olds getting their teachers and getting their parents actively involved in their TikToks. Yeah. So I'm just super interested into Are you making TikToks with your daughter? and if you're not, when are you going to start?
All right.
I love seeing some of the stuff that she and her friends do. It is a cool platform. I'm not knocking TikTok, but yeah.
Okay.
I'm old and stick to Facebook only, and you're tweet.
Yeah.
You're a Twitter guy.
Twitter guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mainly for the brewery, of course. But,
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, the social media in the craft beer world is very important. Untapped is kind of the big app for people to rate beers and those sorts of things. So it's all things we pay attention to. So
Very cool.
So yeah.
I just love the way that we have the ability to communicate on kind of different levels, either with Instagram through the visual or with Facebook. It can be the words, the pictures, the videos. It's really neat how people engage and our ability to talk directly to folks. Social media is fascinating to me, how we're able to, I would 10, 15 years ago, brewery like us would not have the reach that we do because, the social media has just brought so much to the platform.
Yeah.
It's
It's definitely an opportunity to build relationships with customers and keep the conversation going.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
People can pose questions. They can find out, and we can respond super quickly and just answer right there, So,
did we drink all the beer yet?
no.
No, we still have a
Oh
couple.
no, yeah. I was gonna say there's more.
All right. There we go. There's my glass. So we have to wrap up in just a few minutes, but before, I have one very interesting question, I guess. What's the rules with drinking at work?
No, that's a fair question.
You guys serve beer.
I don't
and
have any
team-
NSRL employees in this office right now. This would be something that they would all perk their ears up to right now.
So, contrary to what most people think, we're super safety oriented, and beer is, we want our brewers to be making sure the beer is high quality and that it's moving through the process as it should, so there's tasting of the beer. We have our taproom staff that'll try the beers that are on tap, but there's no drinking on the job. No having pints, no drinking. It's just...
So in the tap room, they're pouring me a beer.
Yeah.
They cannot drink it.
No.
Not
They
until
cannot.
after their shift is over.
After their shift is over, they can.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the brew staff. We're a manufacturing facility. We have to take safety extremely, extremely seriously. And I know that's such a boring answer, but we are hardcore about it.
Boiling liquids, tanks under pressure, lifting heavy things.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
You have to be very, very, very careful.
But we do provide beer perks to our staff. So when you're off the clock, you can take beer home in growlers. You can have a beer off the clock. You can come in with your family. All that we welcome. We want people to enjoy.
So how many tasting steps of quality control do you have? I'm curious.
Yeah.
Well, daily for all beer that's in process, we're checking the gravity of the beer, which is the specific density that allows us to get an idea of where the fermentation's at. We're checking the pH. And then we're tasting it. We do a taste panel every morning.
What does it taste like? Is it a sample like this, or is it a tablespoon?
Well, no, we do them in opaque black tasting glasses, so you can't see the liquid. The idea, and we pretty much know which beer it is, just because we're so accustomed to taste. We know what's in process right now, but we try to be as unbiased as possible. And we do that because if something's going awry, if something tastes off, it's just important for us to be able to identify that and say, oh, okay, what's going on here? Is the temperature of this tank right? What anomaly maybe happened here?
And how many people are doing this QC test?
We usually have at least 5 that will 5 sample cups.
And is there ever any standout opinions where everybody's like, yeah, it's about right, and somebody's like, no, this isn't right?
Well, so our quality assurance manager, so we use Google Sheets, and we all have it on our phone, and we'll answer a quick little questionnaire on each of the samples and give some feedback. And and he'll take a look at those, and generally not. They're generally pretty much all
pretty agreeable
on mark. But if somebody does taste something that's odd or off, we'll discuss and kind of see what's going on.
That's so fascinating.
Do you
Yeah,
need
people's
an
palates are
outside
different,
quality control person?
I'm not pitching myself. I'm just saying I'm available between the hours of 10 p.m. and 4 a.m.
That works.
Beer and process.
So we had one more? We have one more?
We do have
Okay,
one
okay.
more. We do have one more. So this is. I have to ask a question first. Do you guys like hoppy beers? Are you hop fans? Okay,
Yeah, for
good.
sure.
All right. So this is is very special. You're going to be, no kidding, the first people outside of the brewery.
We did it.
To try this beer.
The podcast did something.
I knew this podcast would be great for something.
There you
I
go.
was waiting for the
If it
day.
does
It
nothing
happened
else.
on episode 83.
83, if it does nothing
It only
else.
took a year and a half. Like,
So-
we've made it. We're here.
Every year, for the past 3 years, we've done a collaboration with our friends from Proof Brewing Company, and they're up in Tallahassee. So we do a beer called Win-Win, and we do it for the Florida State game. So every time it's played in Gainesville, we brew it in Gainesville, and then when it's in Tallahassee, we brew it in Tallahassee. So this year,
We win way more than they do.
well, yes, we are. So we are 1-1 since Win-Win has been going on. We are 1-1. We've won, and the Seminoles have won one.
Okay.
But this is our latest iteration.
I'm going to go out of
of
prediction and say it's
that.
going to be 2-1 after this year.
So this is
That's-
this is Win-Win, but we were thinking about calling this one Free Willy.
That's Willie with 5 L's for those playing the home game.
That's
So
great.
this is
awesome.
This is a juicy IPA. It's a really low IBU, so meaning there's very little bitterness to it, bringing in a lot of really intense hop flavor. It's got a Zaka, Nelson Sauvin, and Citra hops in it. And it doesn't even have a label on the can yet.
That's how
That is
fresh.
awesome.
It was just.
That is really awesome.
We canned this on Tuesday.
Yep.
So,
Cheers.
I know you want to try
You
it.
saw
I know. We have other people in the house. I know that they want to try it. Here you go. It's so delicious.
It's really good.
So yeah, I mean it's a juicy IPA, so it does have almost a.
No, so I'm sorry. You said this is one of the collaborations for this year.
This is our collaboration with Proof Brewing.
So what is that lead time like? Like what is that process? When do you start it? How do you decide? I mean, you said that whoever's home game is home brewing, but
Right, yeah. So we want to launch it a week before the Florida State game. So so that is Thanksgiving weekend, the weekend
right.
after
So at
Thanksgiving.
the time of this episode, it actually will have been launched.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Which is great.
Yeah.
But what is that process like? Like when do you start the planning? What is that exchange like?
Good question, man.
Yeah,
I like
I
it.
mean, gosh, we probably started talking about this.
Yeah, the rest, you want it?
And how do you? This is what we did this year. What do we want to do next year? What is that conversation like? There's just so many.
Yeah, so we've done the first one was a fruited New England IPA that we did here with apricots. There was a double New England IPA last year up in Tallahassee, and then this one is a juicy IPA. So we're looking at. I mean, they're all been somewhat similar thematically, but these are the beers that are really trendy right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very, very popular style. So we want something that people are going to be excited about, and it obviously is going to sell in our tap rooms because they buy a lot of it to ship up to Tallahassee, and we do the same. When it's brewed, when we bring it back here to Gainesville. So it's just something that we want to do to be creative and kind of. There's a lot of animosity traditionally between Gainesville and Tallahassee, which I can understand. But they have a great craft brewing scene, and we've learned a lot from Proof, and I feel the same way. I think that they would say the same about us, and it's just been great to work with those guys, and really kind of just great to bring a couple good breweries together.
Sure.
Yeah.
And on that note, and I know we have to wrap up the regular podcast soon, but it kind of ties into a question I've had circled here for a long time. Where do you draw the line between what you want to brew versus what you think will sell well? Because I know, like from a showroom perspective, even in our business, it's like, I like a certain amount of colors, I like a certain amount of models, but it doesn't really matter what I like. It matters what's going to sell.
Exactly. Yeah, we found that out real quick. When we opened the brewery, we didn't have an IPA as an option, and we went.
And that was from a personal preference.
That was from a personal preference. We wanted. I was trained as a home brewer. I like the classic styles, and that's kind of the direction we were going to go in. And everybody, where's your IPA? Why you don't have an IPA? Where's your IPA? And yeah, you do have to, I mean, you're always going to maintain your integrity, right? But you do have your personal preferences, but right now, hazy beers and sour beers are all the rage, and we have
super popular.
Yeah, and we've pretty much committed to having a hazy option and a sour option on at all times. So that's that's just where the market is. We have plenty of people, as I said, Vega is our number one seller in the tap room. That's great. That makes me very happy.
Followed by Wakulla.
Yeah, followed by Wakulla, which is another very classic style. But you do have to look at where people are going, and people don't blow up on tap with a review of a blonde ale. That's just not something people are going to get really excited about. The hazies, we have a wonderful collaboration with the Florida Museum of Natural History here.
Cool.
And we've done a series of butterfly beers that highlight some of the butterflies that they're doing research on at the Lepidoptera Center on campus. In fact, we have one in process right now. It's coming out in a couple weeks. Well, actually, it will have been out by the time this gets aired. But it's our Florida Wit. And we use zest from Florida oranges in it. It's very light, delicate beer, and it highlights the Florida white butterfly, which is one of the butterflies that they're doing research on up there. But anyways, one of the most successful of those butterfly beers so far has been our Frosted Elfin beer, where we actually went out in the field with some of their researchers, captured some of these butterflies, swabbed their wings, and we're able to isolate wild yeast off of the butterflies and use it in the fermentation process of the beer. People went bananas. We got picked up by Food and Wine. We were in Europe. You talk about social media reach. This thing was gold.
You're making butterfly beer.
Butterfly beer, yeah, yeah. And it's been awesome, and just such a great group to work with.
That's
and,
cool.
And we love it when we can create a mutually beneficial relationship with great people like from the Florida Museum, because it's getting people from that wouldn't normally be in tune with butterfly research and why it's even important to care about butterflies. It's just bringing it to a different audience, and we've been able to raise a good amount of money for them for the research as well. So
it's awesome,
really
man.
cool. Yeah, it's
That's really cool.
Very cool.
I'm gonna look over at Allison because I know there's she'd be like that's so cool. Yeah, no, it's awesome.
This has been a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I have so many more I could ask, but I know we got to wrap it up.
So we'll have the side hustle for our Patreon crew. So thank you guys. So we'll tell everybody where they can find you, your address, social media, if they want to say hello, whatever. Where can they connect with you guys?
Oh yeah, they can find us at FM Brewing, and our address is we're right down south of Depot Park in downtown, right near the Cave Museum. We're at 1220 Southeast Beach Street, so we're easy to find once you get near there.
Yeah,
we have
ask your Uber or Lyft driver; they know how to get there.
They know how to get there.
They know exactly where it's at.
Yeah,
they do, and we have a huge outdoor beer garden. We have a big indoor warehouse, and then we have a great tap room that's really comfortable. So we're family friendly, and got a lot of space. So come on out.
It's a heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah,
so much fun.
It's so much fun.
Thanks.
So definitely go check it out. Thank you guys so much for coming on our show.
Yeah, thanks for
This was
having
awesome.
me.
Yeah,
Providing
thanks for
the
having
awesome
us.
libations.
We appreciate
Dude,
this.
so much fun. Thanks for bringing all the
We have some more
beer and
samples. I don't know.
just keep drinking. And I want to thank all of our listeners. We're going to do a little side hustle real quick. But just a couple notes really quick for everybody who's listening before we officially sign off. Look, we are looking for sponsors for 2020. So if you have a business and you're trying to get your business in front of other business owners and business professionals here in Gainesville, please reach out to me, Collin, Collin, at repaintthewall.com. And I can definitely discuss that with you. Guys, I've made it very, very clear that I want to keep this podcast going. I believe in it so much and the things that it's going to do for this community. I'm just super amped, and the fact that we just got finished recording episode 83 just pumps me up.
So cool.
So I'm super just excited for the future. Definitely nominate guests. If you know somebody that you think would just be perfect to be on this podcast, please go to whoagnv.com. There's a link there that says nominate guests. There's a little form, fill it out, nominate a guest, and we will absolutely consider them as somebody that we'll bring on to the show. And of course, if you want to get notified when this podcast goes out, it goes out every Monday at 8 a.m., but I will send you a text personally. It comes from our account. I actually do it myself, write the copy, and we send it out to you. Just text WHOA GNV to 484848, and you'll get a text from me on Monday morning that says, yo, here's the episode. Check it out. Text me back. Let me know what you think. That's it. Anything else?
No, you nailed that.
Crushed
you nailed all of that.
Crushed it. So happy December, everybody. Happy holidays. I'm sure you're listening to White Christmas over and over and over again.
You guys, you got anything good going on for the holidays
Yeah,
at First
anything
Mag?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually are doing a repurposed holiday winter wonderland in the warehouse. So
Boom.
we have
That's
we're
awesome.
partnering with Repurpose Project, and all these really cool holiday things that people get rid of. We have taken them and we are decorating. We have decorated our warehouse, and it is macked out and it is beautiful. And so you just go in and transform and relax and enjoy our winter
So
wonderland.
for those like
love
me that
it.
need to
Awesome.
be pulled into the Christmas spirit
Right.
or
Oh,
holiday
yes.
spirit, that's what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And of course, we'll have some great libations for you to enjoy.
Perfect.
Okay.
We have a winter warmer, which is a spiced Christmas ale. We're going to have a hot chocolate stout. We are going to have a gingerbread pastry sour and a spruce tip IPA. So,
Cool.
and those are going to be available in the tap room only throughout the month of December.
And
So
it's
come
free
check it
for
out.
Mike and I, apparently.
There you go. Winter Wonderland, all the good beers.
You guys, go check them out. Go visit them. Guys, thanks again so much for being here. Gainesville World, thank you so much for listening. This is the WHOA GNV podcast, the podcast bringing you businesses and individuals that make you go, whoa. Give me your best whoa.
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 We will see you later. Bye.